Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, part 2 of our chessboard build. Well, on last week's show, it was all kinds of crazy stuff with making sure this was square and that was square and this was upright 90 degrees and all that jazz to come up with a nice looking board to play on. And this week the fun continues. I don't want to talk too much, so let's get right into it. Well, when we ended up last week's show, I was just sanding the board and I've managed to sand it flat. And truth be told, it takes time. It takes time. This took over an hour to sand it, to get it the way that I wanted it and get it nice and smooth. So take your time, but I will caution you when using a power sander for that length of time, take breaks. Don't do it all in one shot. Now it's time, guys, to make the frame that goes around the outside or the perimeter of our board. And for that, I've milled some 1/2 inch walnut, and what I want is I want pieces to be ripped for all the way around that are 3 1/4 inches wide. So the next step, now that we have all the pieces cut to their width, is I need to put a 3/4 inch wide dado on the inside back edge of each one of our pieces. It's going to be 3/4 of an inch wide and 1/4 inch deep. But what I need it to be 1/2 of an inch out from the back of the board. So just to clarify, we have a 3 1/4 inch board. We have this 1/2 inch wide strip at the back of our piece, and then we have our 3/4 inch wide by 1/4 inch deep dado. This here will be to conceal our mounting method, or our method to hang the board, and we're going to get into that just a little bit later on. So then the next thing that you want to do at this point is you want to cut all of your pieces to their final dimensions. And it's a simple process. I'm not going to get too much into it here. I'm just going to take it over to the table saw. We're going to use our miter fence and cut them to 45s to frame in our entire board. When I get all the pieces cut, we're going to dry fit it together, and I'll show you what it looks like at that point. All right, and there we go for the dry fit. Now, I love the way this is coming together. Let me just point out to you, with cutting the 45s like that using your miter fence, this actually is a little higher than the capacity of the blade. So I ran it through. There was that tiny little bit at the end. I just used a small gent saw to cut off the rest, and then carefully sanded that little strip off to finish off the cut. Either way, the cuts turned out perfectly. It looks great. Here on the back, hopefully we can see down here we have that 1/2 inch lip, and that's what we're really looking for here for our mounting means. Okay, so now that you have this cut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the inside surfaces here a good sanding, and then from there we can glue this together and put it off to the side and let it dry. Well, at this point we're in a holding pattern because we have to wait for that frame to dry up. I will caution you to make sure that it's square. Make sure that it's square all the way around, and as well make sure that the walls of this box are square to the backboard or square to the playing surface. You don't want it leaning in. And by making sure that your blade is square while you're cutting these 45s, that will go a long way to helping you, because if they're both square, chances are it's going to be a square fit all the way around. I will also point out here that while cutting those 45s, it's a little unruly trying to hang on to a piece of stock that is this large while managing a miter fence and all that jazz. So do yourself a favor and get some clamps on those pieces and let the clamps do the work, because that force of the blade is strong enough that as you're cutting the 45, it will try to draw it into the blade, making your cut be off square. So clamp it down and get yourself the perfect cut that you're after. So now we need to move on, and there's still stuff that we can do while this is drying. You'll remember that we made up all of those shelf brackets, both the 1/4 inch thick walnut ones and the laminated walnut maple walnut ones. Well, we need the shelves that are going to be on those brackets. So mill yourself some 1/2 inch thick stock, and for me, I'm going to go again to match the outside frame. I'm going to go with walnut. Well, I have 7 pieces of walnut milled, and they are 1/2 inch thick and 1 7/8 of an inch wide, and that will allow our shelves to be just slightly recessed from our outer board. So for all 7 of these, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to cut them to their final length and dry fit them into place. And now that we have all of our 7 shelves cut to their length, I'm going to put a 1/8 inch round over on the front edges, both top and bottom, just to soften it a little bit. Then I'm going to give them a good sanding and put them aside. So it's now time to mount our shelf brackets. And for that, we're going to have to do a little bit of measuring, and as well, I'm going to need a straight edge. So what I need to do is from the center line here on our playing surface where our tiles meet, I need to measure down 1/4 of an inch from that center line. We're going to do it over here, and then I'm going to place another one on this side. Now what that will be is the place to mount our straight edge, just like this. So we're going to line it up with both of those pencil marks, and once we get it in line, I'm going to place a couple blocks here to keep it from moving and clamp them in place. From there, we need our brackets, and our laminated ones are going to go in line with our divider line here, our walnut strips. We will place one of those shelf brackets just like this up against our straight edge and glue it in place. The 1/4 inch pieces, one will go right here in the corner from both sides, lining it up with your straight edge, and then the last one will go right in the middle. And you'll square those up to the straight edge and glue them in place and let them set up. We will do that at each one of our 4-inch long tiles. So I don't think we need a video of me gluing all these in place. I'm going to get that done, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to see you. Well, I'm just about at the halfway point here, and I'm going to tell you this is tedious. So don't worry about it. Just take your time. Put on some music that you like. Listen away and just stick these things on one by one. The extra time that you take to square everything up and to clean up your squeeze out is going to go a long way to your finished product being just fantastic and you being happy with it. So just carry on with mounting those brackets, and well, we'll go on from there. And with the roundovers done and each shelf sanded and every bracket glued in place, we're just going to place our shelves here. Now these will get glued in, but for now I don't want to glue anything in until the brackets are completely dry. That way nothing shifts. So for now I'm just sitting them here, dry fit in place, so that they will be where I want them to be tomorrow when I dry or when I glue all these shelves in. So you'll also notice that there is a set of brackets at the very top, and while they don't support anything, what they do is they give a sense of a continuity, that all the horizontal surfaces inside the playing area are supported by these brackets. So don't forget these ones up top. And at this point we wait. All of our shelves are glued in, the squeeze out is cleaned up, but we really don't want to be messing around with this until it's completely dry. So we're going to leave it alone. You can probably see I still even have the original strap clamps on there from when I glued together the box itself. I'm going to leave that on there and let everything set. And I guess I'll see you in the morning when this is dry. Oh, and if you've got one of those people that tells you or asks you, don't you have enough clamps? Show them this. Tell them you can never have enough. Well, with everything unclamped, this is what we're left with. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty freaking awesome. So the next thing I want to do here to this cabinet is I want to sand it all the way around, and around this front outer edge, I want to put a 1/8 round over to soften that front edge there. So give the whole thing a good sanding, and then we're going to move on to how to hang this thing. Well, in order to mount this project, I would feel comfortable with nothing less than a French cleat. And this will do several things. It will give a solid mounting for my board to hang, as well as it'll make it so that it hangs and stays level. So what I'm going to do is I have this piece of 1/2" ply. Remember, we left that 1/2" lip for our dado, and that was to conceal our French cleat. So I have a piece here. It is 6 inches wide. I have cut it at one point to a 45-degree angle, and then its mating piece I cut just a little shorter. This will be the piece that mounts to the wall. All I'm going to do is place this right up here at the top. I am going to glue and screw this in place, making sure that it is square to the sides of my frame. It should be, because the top part is square, but stranger things have happened. And then once this is glued and screwed in place, I will screw some mounting holes into its mating piece, of course, on this side here, and they will be countersunk, and I will place them at 16 inches on center, hopefully being able to hit one of the wall studs or both of them at 16 inches here on this piece to give it a good solid mounting. So I don't think we need a video of me screwing and gluing a piece of plywood in place, but that is how we're going to hang our chessboard. Why did I cut this a little smaller? I didn't want to be messing around, really. When you're lifting this board, it's actually quite heavy, so I want it to be able to just lift it up and clunk it in place without having a tight alignment between these two sideboards. I've got about 1 inch of play on either end to be able to hang it. That's all. No secrets there or anything like that. It's just to make it easier for me to hang, that's all. So what they have in the book is a couple of these patterns, and they're just a couple of crowns. And I kind of thought they were a cool little accent, and I really like them, and they will get mounted on contrasting woods in the top corners of our board. So what I've done is I've taken some 3/16 thick maple and 3/16 inch cherry. I know you can't see it because it's all taped together here, but I'm going to stack cut them to get one of each, and then we'll glue them in place. And once I get these cut, I'm going to show you how they fit here on the board and what they're going to look like. And there we have those accents. I really like these. I think they give it a little bit of extra character, not too much, just a nice little extra piece there. And the maple one will go on the cherry square, and the cherry one will go on the maple square. So I'm going to give them a light sanding. We'll do the same thing up at the top, and we'll glue them in place with a thin little layer of glue on them. And really at that point, there isn't much left to do other than apply the finish. And there you have it. A chessboard, or in my case, a wall chessboard. Guys, what an absolutely spectacular way to showcase your abilities. Both your abilities scrolling with making the chess set, and as well the wall board. Now, truth be told, I'd never heard of a wall board before checking out this book on making chess sets. And then I started to look into it, and apparently they're quite a popular thing. Who knew? Not me. But as soon as I saw this concept in the book, I knew that this was the project that I had to make. I knew that this was the board that I needed. I've been wanting to make a chess set and a board for a very long time, and it's not the first one that I've made. But the thing that was stopping me was, where do you put it? How many people actually have a place where they can display a chess set like this? And this is the thing, I didn't just want it to be put into a case and sat off to the side and only brought out when being played. I wanted it as a display piece as well as a functional, usable, playable game. And this wall board solved all of that because it's a perfect display case, and as well, you're able to play right there on the wall. So something I thought of while making this, this board. You don't have to stand there playing either. Let's say that you had a friend that did not live close to you to be able to play with. You could very easily snap a picture of the board, email it or text it to them, and then say it's your move. They tell you where they want to move. You move their piece, you play your turn, and then send them another picture. They can mull it over. You could play over a few days and still have interaction with people outside of your social circles that you would normally see on a daily basis. So it's a wonderful way to connect with people as well. And my gosh, what a wicked conversational piece as people see it in your home. Now, here's the thing. These accents that I put on, the very last pieces that I added, the crowns, they are completely optional, but the patterns are in the book. Please do not ask me to send you those patterns. I will not do it. I don't have distribution rights, and Jim Cape has spent time to make these patterns and provide them in the book. I'm not going to take away his thunder. This is his design as far as those crowns go. His wall board is a little more elaborate than mine, but I did not want that, so I modified his design to become my own, and that's what I encourage you to do. But I also encourage you that if you are interested in making a chess set, don't discount this book. It is wonderful. I have enjoyed every page of it, every pattern in it. It's just a fantastic book, and I'll be sure to post the link below. What I also will say about those crown accents is 3/16 stock is a little tricky to scroll. The reason being it's thin. There's no resistance to the blade, and the blade likes to run away with you. So stack cutting is the way to go. You are now cutting a piece that is 3/8 of an inch thick instead of 3/16, and it increases your control. So consider stack cutting, and it cuts your work in half as well because you only have to cut each design once. Guys, you can see here what a difference a finish makes, and for this I gave it several coats of Danish oil. One of my favorite finishes because it doesn't give a high gloss that takes away from the project but yet seals everything else in nicely. And I just love the way that the cherry came out and that the walnut popped and all that jazz. I think it looks fantastic, and I really love every aspect of this project, and I hope that you're going to give this a try for yourself because of this one here. My gosh, what a load of fun. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope that you've enjoyed this little two-part series on making a chessboard. For those of you that were tuning in hoping to get one of those flat laid out chessboards, same process, guys. You just cut them square. You cut your contrasting pieces square, lay them out the exact same way with your center lines and your straight edges, and build a frame around it to make your board. That's it. It's not rocket science, but it's one heck of an impressive project. You also may want to consider making it a wall board if that sort of thing suits you. Guys, I really hope that you've enjoyed this two-part series. I really hope that you're going to give it a try for yourself. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. There's a lot to offer here on the show, and it just gets better every week. The more people we get on here and the more interaction with the audience that I have, the better it is for me and the better it is for you as well. So feel free to drop a comment below. Guys, give this a try for yourself, and I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.